Good evening, everyone. Welcome. So this evening, apologies from Clint and Meg. They're away at the moment. Also from Peter. Peter Law said he wasn't able to come this evening. Also Annabelle, I'm not here this evening. And also May was coming, but then she got bitten by a tick. So she's resting. I think that's all that's sent there. Apologies. So let's settle into our evening meditation. So having established a comfortable sitting position, aligning our body with some degree of symmetry, balance, poise, helping to enable some inner mindful presence. Our eyes gently closed, helping to bring awareness within, and having our initial deep, relaxing, letting go breath, using that outgoing breath to carry away any stress, tension that may have been building in our body over the happening of the day, the happening of the week so far. Consciously breathing out, relaxing, releasing, letting go. Moving the mind from being concerned about issues, worries, concerns, thoughts about what has been, thoughts about what might be, and taking time to pause and become present. Meditation as a most excellent practice, cultivating the quality of our consciousness, moving the mind from worries, issues, the things that may trouble us, developing a foundation of peace. And before focusing in on our breath, our reference point for the meditation, a reference point for the present moment where life is happening from, just relaxing awareness into the body, grounding awareness in the body, sensing and feeling the body sitting here. Checking in on a few contact points, feeling our feet connecting with the floor. Feeling our body connecting with the chair, cushion, or meditation stool. Feeling our hands and fingers resting in our lap, sensation of hands and fingers. Bringing awareness up to our face, noticing our face, even feeling the air connecting with our face. And noticing some degree of light coming in through the closed eyelids. And even looking into that lightness, brightness, blankness through the closed eyelids. And not becoming distracted or disturbed by background sounds, and particularly not getting caught into the internal mental sound or sight of thoughts, but rather choosing to focus our mind's attention in the present by connecting with each soothing therapeutic breath. Feeling the breath at the nose or nostril area, consciously directing attention and sustaining attention, holding attention to that point of contact that we feel the breath flowing in and flowing out, And as a skillful means for exercising and strengthening this focus, even using some long inhalations and long exhalations, emphasizing the breath, helping to connect to the breath just for as long as it feels comfortable, and maybe even using the count, breathing in for 3 or 4 seconds or counts, and breathing out for 4 or 5 seconds or counts, helping to strengthen and exercise attention onto the breath. Also helping the breath to become more even, slow, mind body connecting through the breath, awareness of the breath. Feeling each breath whilst also looking into the lightness, brightness through the closed eyelids. Allowing the mind to settle into calm, clarity, peace, and presence. Please help yourself to some tea and biscuits if you wish. So this evening, to start with a little chant, just a few lines, something which Buddhist monks and nuns and people spending time in monasteries chant generally every day, which also lay people at home can chant every day. It's a couple of lines, part of a longer chant as a daily reflection. So the chant is Jaradamomi Jaranganatito. That's it. Which is a powerful sentence, which we'll get onto in a moment. But I wanted to talk about something which people don't even like to think about, let alone speak about, let alone make arrangements for or plan as an event. And yet it's one of the most significant events of our life. Generally, people like to think about events, special events, significant events, think about them, speak about them, even before they've happened, and plan for them. Maybe spending months thinking and speaking and planning for special events, special occasions, significant events. Now, for example, even children planning a particular birthday. I think when I was a child, I remember having a special 7th birthday party. So having been at school a couple of years and having some friends, so I'm planning for that special event, having as many kids as I could fit into the house there. So being 7 and special birthday. And for most people, certainly planning for their 18th birthday, sort of a coming of age, maybe getting your license, car license, 18, being 18, special occasion, maybe having finished high school. Then there's the 21st birthday party, another big one. And after that, there's 30? 30. And maybe in the meantime, one might have got married. So planning that event, getting married, wow, significant event. And I guess for most people, they hope it's a one-off. I'll just get married once, but not always the case. So getting married, and so 30th birthday party, 40th, 50th, 60th. After that, you stop. Don't like to have people know how old you are. But certainly these are events that people plan for, and also maybe the planning of having a baby. The planning the sort of when it's going to happen, and or maybe how it's going to happen, and the hospital it's going to happen at, or maybe at home, that sort of thing. But the event that none of us really take too much time to think about, speak about, plan for, organize is our death. It's no wonder that people don't like to talk about it or think about it, because it's like we're not even going to be there once it's happened. So, but obviously, the process leading up to that, the actual activity, the experience of dying, it's significant. It only happens for us once this lifetime, our own death. And it can be something that rather than sort of focusing on and feeling a sense of angst or unease or trepidation or fear towards it, I think the more we normalize it and particularly have planned for it, then maybe that reduces fear around that particular event and occasion. At least we know there's some things that have been set up, decided upon as much and as far as possible. Of course, there's always uncertainty, even though, yes, they say life is uncertain, death is certain, but certainly the time, to some degree, the place. For some people, they may know how they are going to die, particularly if they have an illness. So that's a consideration. But I think that in the context of practice, Buddhist practice, meditation practice, it's important to not be fearful about the consideration and reflection upon death and dying, and even to have a particular plan in place. The little chant that I chanted, which is part of a longer chant of meditative reflections, it translates as, "I'm of the nature to die. I have not gone beyond dying." So as a sort of a daily reflection, yes, this body will die. I have not gone beyond death.
What's the first part?
I am of the nature to die. I have not gone beyond dying. So the nature of these bodies is to die. And as much as we would like them to live as long as possible, but they will die at some time. And particularly the reason that one of the reasons I'm talking about this evening is that last Tuesday or Wednesday, I had a text from Clint, who comes to our meditation group very regularly with his wife Meg. He said, "John, I won't be at the meditation group this Thursday," which was last week. "I'm down with my family, particularly my mother. She's dying, and so going to be here for that." And his mother's name, he has died now, Vicky. She came to the meditation group a couple of months ago. She'd had cancer, dealing with cancer for several years, and did end up living beyond her life expectancy with cancer. And so she died on the Wednesday. She died on the Wednesday. So Clint must have texted me on the Tuesday saying that he was down with his family in the sort of Tamworth sort of area. And so she died on the Wednesday. He was sort of, whole family was there at the time, and I actually invited him because he came back. I spoke with him a couple of days ago and invited him to, if he wanted to, which he said yes, to share his reflections around being with his mother dying, so next Thursday. And I said that we can do a special chanting for her as well. Special, the Karaniya Metta Sutta, the verses on loving kindness, which is a very powerful reflection also for spiritual practice towards enlightenment. So we can do that. That's one that I also chanted when I was doing the funeral service for a client named Russell that died in May. And that was VAD, voluntary assisted dying. He had terminal cancer. Chose the time, the place, at home in his bed. Who was going to be around, the music that we had on, and and so forth. I was there at that time and doing some chanting for him then, and also then did an all-night vigil. So his body was left on the bed, and so we, myself, his wife, and another friend were able to be there all night. I actually was in the room all night, meditating with his body laid out. It's quite special. And then did his funeral service, which was just down the road at Everon um, Cremation and Memorial Garden space, a lovely, lovely sort of crematorium and gardens, and chanted the verses of loving kindness in Pali, the Buddhist language, and then I had everybody that was there, a few hundred people, was printed out into his order of service, and so they were all able to read it out as well as we sort of chanted that together. So it's special. So we can do the same for Clint's mother next Thursday. And also just in the last while, I've had a number of clients that have had parents that have died. So dealing with their grief, and also a woman that client that her mother's in a nursing home with dementia. So the sense of knowing that she's going to die sometime soon as well. And even this morning, I was having a client online, and she's up in Harvey Bay, and was she said she's had a very emotional last few days because she heard that a friend of hers, her first sort of love, she says, she heard had died. He would have only been in his 40s, and so that I said to her, well, apart from it's sad that these things happen, and certainly we live with uncertainty, but also it can be a really important time for our own reflection around the fact of mortality, and that this body that we have will die too. It's of the nature to die. It needs to die. It can't exist forever, and so it can be a bit of an important point to consider. Okay, so when it comes to that time, how would I like that to be? And even I think as a sort of a reflection to consider, well, as far as goes to planning, where would I like to be when I die? At home or in a hospital or in a hospice or somewhere else, if I've got a choice? Who would I like to have around me? Do I want any particular music in that space? Some sort of pleasant music to be hearing at that time? Any particular smells or fragrance, scents? Things that I'd like to sort of have in the room to look at, whether it's photographs or flowers or anything in particular, maybe a Buddha image, and any particular words that I want whispered in my ear when I'm lying there, maybe a meditation, guided meditation. Maybe even some people, certainly my father, when he was in hospital, he wanted to have some Buddhist monks present, so that they weren't there when he died, but they came in and visited him before he died, and also were involved in the funeral service as well. But these are things that we can think through. They're generally things that people might also write into their will, and particularly also the it's called the guardianship, for those that are going to be sort of around to help what's to be done, and whether one's body, whether one wants one to be resuscitated or not, if one sort of becomes unconscious. So these are things to, again, consider, and to be able to be okay, upfront, aware of, considering them, even writing them down so that they're there. They're there as be accessed, particularly if we're not able to get them ourselves. To go, okay, over there in the filing cabinet is my sort of what I requested, and then for people to be able to access that for us and bring about that as much as possible in terms of fulfilling our needs. again, it's an event. It's an event, and rather than it being something which is viewed with unease and distress and trepidation and fear, but to go, well, yeah, I wasn't able to plan my birth. Maybe I can plan the situation that I will die within, and then also what happens to this body once it has died, how I want it dealt with, and so forth. Right down to planning the music at music at a funeral service, and who's going to speak, and any verses that may be read out. Um, Also, what's cremation or coffin, and what sort of a coffin, and so forth. I was driving down to my office in Kingscliff on occasion. I was listening to Bay FM, and there was on the radio, and there was a woman talking about I think her website and business is called Divine Creations, and so she makes coffins, but she weaves them out of a particular sort of like a rattan type of vine. I think she said it was some she said actually it's a weed, cat weed or something. And she gets permission to go onto people's places where it's growing and to cut it out because they want it out anyway. And then she weaves it, and even does classes in weaving a coffin. So sort of basket weaving a coffin. They look pretty amazing, especially with flowers on the top. And so they can be burnt or buried. And even to the point where people can weave their own coffin, as long as you've got somewhere to put it. And as a sort of a biodegradable sort of gesture, rather than the regular coffins that often people have that are not very ecologically sound.
Lined with plastic.
Lined with plastic, and with sort of the plastic sort of handles and so forth. And, yeah, so not so great for the planet. So these are things again to give consideration to, and obviously there's a whole industry around death and dying in various ways in terms of funeral services and making coffins and organizing things, even helping people to prepare. So a death doula, like a doula for a pregnancy and birth, but a death doula, someone that helps to support one in that process of dying, and maybe then also helps with the funeral service as well. But the Buddha said that it's really important for practitioners to reflect upon death on a daily basis. Ajahn Chah said it's important to reflect upon death with every breath, knowing that one of those breaths will become one's last. So very, very significant. And that allows a certain edge to the present moment. So being very aware, knowing that life is uncertain, don't waste your time and energy, and to realize reality with earnestness. In fact, the last words of the Buddha was, all things are transient. Realize enlightenment with earnestness. As in, don't waste time. Because none of us know how long we do have. There's a saying in the Thai language that says, Rao mai ruwa, prung ni je ben wan mai, re je ben chat mai. Translates as, none of us really know whether tomorrow is going to be the beginning of our new day or the beginning of the next life, as in we died last night. So we live with that sort of uncertainty. And again, not to be morbid, not to sort of see it in a negative, pessimistic way, but to go, okay, yes, these bodies will die, therefore be aware, don't waste time, don't get caught up in pettiness and small-mindedness and those sorts of things, because life, time, energy is so precious. And we've all sort of, we're all old enough to have had people that are close to us that have died, whether it's been parents, certainly grandparents and parents, relatives, school teachers, friends, and even siblings. It's very, very sad when a child dies, but that certainly can happen too. So not to be sort of in denial of this fact, and given that death and dying is a significant event, and often, unfortunately, people don't plan for it, and then it becomes a bit of a rush. There's fear and concern, and but if it's been planned for, even prepared for, even right down to okay, as a meditation, if this was a time for me to die, can I go into a meditative state, away from any pain that may be in the body, um, calming and clearing the mind, opening my heart to the present moment and to letting go, and be mindful of the breathing until the body breathes no more. So even that as sort of a meditation, which can bring about a deep, deep peace and calm, cuts through a lot of the mental thoughts about tomorrow and the weekend and public holidays and Christmas, and so right there. So for yourselves, any thoughts or questions, or do you contemplate death yourselves? And maybe even at times you may have been very, very sick. Certainly, I've been sick at times in Thailand with typhus and malaria, and thought this could be the end. Okay. So, any thoughts or considerations yourself, Brendan?
Yeah, I was going to ask about meditating at the time of death, which you pretty much just answered. But yeah, that to me seems like as a Buddhist and somebody practicing being on that path, that's the ultimate way to obviously we could die in our sleep, we could die in a car accident or something.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
don't have that time, but if you have that time to prepare, and I'm curious, did the Buddha say anything else about that? That being the best way to transition out of this lifetime?
Certainly in meditation, and particularly in deep meditation, the suttas, the discourse of the Buddha talk about it's quite a long discourse about the Buddha giving the last teaching, and where he was and what was happening, and what monks were there, and also about sort of the commentary, or probably the monks there that knew the Buddha's mind, talk about the Buddha going into deeper meditation, the states of jhana, deeper and deeper, and then just transcending the body, so letting go from there. So, and that is sort of a way to not be holding and clinging and stuck. And obviously, a fully enlightened person, particularly a Buddha, it's not going to be holding onto the body, but for ourselves as well, if we haven't fully realized enlightenment in this lifetime before death, then maybe death can be a time to go, okay, let go of this body and attachments and worries and concerns, and realize enlightenment right at the end, if you wish.
I guess that's the ultimate opportunity, right? Because you've got nothing to hang on to anymore. So, if you ever wanted to completely let go of everything, that would be the ultimate moment.
Though I guess for often the mind is holding on. So I don't want to die. And the sense of like, even if the person may be unconscious, there's still behind all of that a wanting to be here, be around my family, and so forth. And then, okay, that's what happens. You get what you want. So according to Buddhist psychology, the mind then seeks a situation to again get fulfilled in what it wants. So maybe it gets reborn close to family, and on with the whole experience again.
With that in mind, I was thinking when you were talking about having objects and people that you're close to, and music. I mean, they're all things that you could associate attachment to. So maybe you're better off not having those things there at that time and just
Yep.
be focused on the meditation. Maybe have, other Buddhists that would meditate with you, but not necessarily people that you would be overly attached to.
Yeah, yeah. So again, it comes down to sort of what's going to be comforting or suitable. So someone that really wants to realize reality, truth, freedom, enlightenment, then would make a situation that helps to support that. And the writing on the world is a hopeless place. Let go, don't come back here. Be rid of this. Attachment is a source of stress and suffering. But for other people, they may feel, well, no, I do want to come back and be reborn again, close to friends and family, and continue to live my life, a life. Won't be this life, it'll be another life, and be helpful and be of service. And so it depends upon where one's at and what one wants to do.
And also your dying is not just about you, because there's all the people that you're leaving behind who are going to be sad that you're gone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not just like a selfish time where you just think about yourself. You might be thinking about your family, and they might want to be around you, and spending the last time with you.
For sure, yeah.
And so that's a gift you can give at the end to your family.
Yeah.
I went to a funeral earlier this year of a friend's mother, and she was a lovely mother. I've never been to a funeral where everybody talks so universally the same about what a kind person she was the whole time. I felt throughout her life, and then how she just took that as well. That's how she died. So that at the very end, and they all were around her, and they were saying, "Oh, Mum, you must be in pain. Are you in pain, Mum?" And she'd say, "Just discomfort, not pain."
That's good.
Just
Yeah.
discomfort.
Yeah.
So she really took that essence of who she was into when she died.
Yeah.
That would be quite a nice way to die.
Yeah, because certainly at that time and that occasion can be a great gift to others for their particular learning as well, and making it as pleasant for them as much as possible. And one of my clients he's a school teacher, not Clinton, another client, and he said that he was with his mother when she died, it was a couple of weeks ago, and he was quite distressed as to how she died. She'd had cancer and was in the hospital, and sort of the gasping and gurgling, and his daughter was there as well. She's only 4, and so he found it sort of quite distressing, and he sort of called it a death rattle. And I said to him, probably she was not conscious. So even though she was sort of gasping for air, it's just the body, it's the natural response of the body, and so that don't be distressed or upset that she was in pain or anything. And so he was a bit more comforted by that. He even looked it up on Google and basically said that along those lines, this is the body that the last sort of stages of dying, the lungs start to close down, there's fluid in the lungs, and so the body doesn't sort of sound so great when it's breathing. But again, he said that if she'd planned things a bit better, then that wouldn't have happened. And also maybe it would have been that not to be around her at that time, if it was going to be distressing for like he said that his father's very, very distressed, and sort of because his remains, and obviously missing his wife a lot as well. So again, it's difficult to plan because there's a great deal of uncertainty, but to the degree that we can plan this particular occasion to do so. And one doesn't have to be 70 or 80 to plan. You can just, okay, we'll have some ideas around how that might be, just in case, and it's there. So it's, if something happens, then people are aware of how to support us at that time.
Can you teach us how to say the chant?
Sure. Well, we can next Thursday. I'll hand out the chanting books, and you can have a look. You can take a photograph of it, and it's part of a whole chant, which basically translates. I'm of the nature to age. I have not gone beyond aging. I'm of the nature to sicken. I have not gone beyond sickness. I'm of the nature to die. I have not gone beyond dying.
So we could learn it all because it must be pretty similar every line.
Yeah. Then all that is mine, dear and beloved, will fade and vanish. I'm the owner of my karma, heir to my karma, born of my karma, abide supported by my karma. Whatever karma I shall do, for good or for ill, that I will be the heir. So a bit of a important reflection.
They are like the 4 heavenly messengers.
Yes.
It's just the monk is the like
Yes.
seeing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those 4 themes.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
4th one is the
Exactly.
monk, and
Yeah.
they're quite a good reflection too, because you see
Aging,
that.
illness, and death.
yes,
Yeah.
and then a monk is then they get the urgency.
Yes, the
Stand back
possibility of freedom.
Something different. Yeah.
Yes. Well, think about this over the week, and if you can make it here for next Thursday, and Clint will offer some reflections around being with his mother at that time, and or his mother Vicky, and also we'll do a little bit of chanting as a reflection for ourselves, and also as a blessing gift for Vicky, and obviously for Clint and Meg as well. Thanks for coming out tonight, and see you next time. Good.